and a heartfelt namaste. I, Anuradha, would like to thank all of you for writing, sharing, subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and suggestions there. In a prior video, we had talked about the cardinal signs or the Chara Rashis. Today, we are going to talk about the fixed signs of the Sthira Rashis. What do we mean by the word fixed? The word fixed in itself says steadfast, one which is strong, one which is not movable, one which goes on for a long period of time. There are 4 fixed Rashis in the zodiac: Taurus, which is the fixed earth, Leo, which is the fixed fire, Scorpio, which is the fixed water, and Aquarius, which is the fixed air. These 4 signs, because of the change in element, will have a lot of changes within themselves. But there are few underlying principles which are very strong with each of them. The first one to begin is the first point of conversion, or the point where we see that all of them have a common factor, is fixed way of thinking. In every zone that there is, they have a very strong way of thinking. The Taurus can show a financial way of fixed way of thinking, whereas the Aquarius can show a thought process which is very fixed and which is not very changeable. And these signs are also show a great deal of loyalty. Once people come to a certain amount of conclusion, they would stick on to those points. They would also like to stick on to the people associated with their projects. Say for the Leos, they can be very loyal to their followers, and Scorpios can be very loyal to their emotions or can be loyal to the people they're in love with, and they can also live up with their hatred with the same amount of loyalty. When we talk about working, hard work is something that comes very easy to the fixed signs. We need the cardinal signs or the Chara Rashis to start, get a headlong in a project, but to see to a project to completion on all levels, the fixed signs are very important. Say supposing somebody's putting in planning to start a factory, you would need somebody who has a very strong Aries, because there the Aries would not be able to see any problems along the way of initiating a project, and they would be headlong into doing the project. Whereas to keep the project going over a long period of time, the manager that you require here would be a Leo, would be hardworking, would be very strong, and would know how to continue on with the project. So whichever person, whichever sign that we talk about, hard work comes very naturally to these people. These people have a very good business sense. They make great administrators, especially the sign of Taurus. We will be discussing each of these signs in detail, but a good business sense, a long-term planning can be seen very easily with all these 4 signs. They have a way with endurance. Yes, endurance. Why so? Because to have a staying power, there needs to be persistently working on the project and to show a great deal of endurance in that project, in that emotion, in that idea, to stay put to that place. And finally, we also need to have these people are very generous and supportive. These people are very generous and supportive in their way of their people that they are associated with and the people that they love. Now let us take each of these qualities sign wise. So if I'm going to take the sign of Taurus, how does it manifest? In the fixed way of thinking for the Taurus sign would be in their fixed way of doing things, in their fixed way of a practical project in terms of money. When we talk about money, these people are very sure to invest money only on those areas, or talk about, they need to see the financial viability of any project before they embark on any project. That is a very important criteria for them. And once they have come to a conclusion, just like the bull, they would stay focused and they would only be working hard for their end results. They are loyal. Here, the loyalty could be to the association, that is the place that they are working, because it is also related to the career. It could also be a loyalty shown to the family members at large, or the cause that you're working on. And we see hard work. So to get that money that the sign of Taurus shows, they are willing to go to any length or work hard. The fixed earth is a sign that no matter what happens, it's just no matter how many people walk over this earth, it's not going to give in to any kind of pressure that we see with the endurance factor of the Taurus sign. And the sense of business is something that is absolutely, as I said, they would always see the financial viability of the project before they embark on the project on a long-term basis. And they're very generous and supportive of their family members. They're very generous and supportive of the small group of people that they associate with. When we talk about the Leo sign, their way of thinking, it's not much about that is not much, there is not much about financial acumen as such that you see in the sign of Leo, but Leo is a fire sign. So it's more to do with inspiration, it's more to do with creativity, it's more to do with ideas, and it's more to do with leadership. We generally do not see the lion, which is supposed to be a lazy animal, doing a lot of work. But once it sets its mind to do a work, once it decides to go about hunting, there's not much that can stop it. And that is their fixed way of doing things, their fixed way of their creativity. Extremely talented. Once they set their minds to get work done, they're well ahead of it. Leo is a sign of creativity. Leo is the sign of the lion, the king of the jungle. And the king of the jungle is very fiercely protective about its area. And it's also very fiercely protective. We will see Leos being very protective about their loved ones. Extremely traditional, and yet it's very, very adventurous too. Just for records, the lion is one of those cats which stays with a pride. So they're extremely and hardworking. So Leos are hardworking when the creative juices get going, and they, once they take up a project, it's very difficult to pull them down from it. Their creativity, we will find that a lot of actors and actresses will have a lot to do with Leo, or will also have a lot to do with the fifth house, because the Leo is the fifth house of the natural zodiac. So it is their fifth house that gets them a lot of fan following, gets them a lot of work for their creativity, and gets them going. And these people also, a good business sense as regards, the business sense here would be what is their talent and how they can harness that particular talent, how they can remain steadfast with that particular talent is the question here. Once we find a Leo working hard, we know that the Leo would go a great place and, with full force with what they have. And they don't like doing things by half. They like to do things on a very large scale. The bigger, the better. And they're generous to the fault. Yes. If they've had their share of things, they have plenty for others to go around. Now, we can move ahead and talk about the sign of Scorpio. We can see that there's such a lot of differences in each of the signs. When we're talking about Taurus, we were talking about practical issues, we were talking about financial acumen, we were talking about education, everything that could give a lot of financial independence. When we are talking about the sign of Leo, it's everything that gives them a creative independence and everything that brings them a lot of adulation, fan following, and loyalty with the fans, loyalty to the fans also. When we talk about the sign of Scorpio, the Scorpio is very fixed in its emotional outburst or emotional way of thinking. And in fact, it is said to be very judgmental at times also. Why so? Because once they've come to a conclusion or once they've understood the emotional content of a person, it's very rare that they change their views about that person on that emotional level. They're very lovable to people and they like to be loyal to people whom they love, but they're equally loyal as enemies. They do not let go of their enemies very easily. Uh, as far as working is concerned, the sign of Scorpio also shows a lot of hard work. It can show a lot of hard work in relation to its emotion. It can show a lot of hard work for people whom they are emotionally attached. And they are also great, they make great psychologists. They have a great power of perception. And once they've understood the psychological makeup of a person, it's easy for them to deal with the person in that way. No matter what a person is going through, because the sign of Scorpio is a pond or is a water body which is not free flowing and runs deep. The emotions run deep and they have a great power of endurance. The ability to withstand emotional pressure is huge. They don't let out the emotions on to others until and unless it crosses the threshold of endurance, which is quite a huge sign. And finally, whoever they love with equal favor. They're generous and they are they're equally strong with their enemies at all times. They're very determined and extremely courageous. These people are extremely passionate about whatever they do, but their passion does not find an expression on their faces. It's more to do putting in their passion, their energy in the work that they do, and they're perfectionists like the Scorpio. Whenever they decide to do something, it's the animal also tells a lot about the sign. So once the Scorpio, we know that it walks in a zigzag manner, and once it's decided the place it wants to go to, nothing deters it from its path. It's intensely emotional. These people know how to have a covering over their emotions such that their soft part is not exposed to others. And they keep working on their emotions till they can redeem that emotions. As the Scorpio sign also represents a very dark or a deep pond, so their emotions run very deep and they're very generous towards others, the people that they love. Finally, we come to the fixed sign, air sign, Aquarius. Aquarians have a very fixed way of thinking. It's the air sign. So once they come to a conclusion about an idea, they will be steadfast about it no matter what. It's very difficult for them to see the point of view of others. Just for records, B.V. Ramanji had his Lagna in Aquarius. So his idea to get the knowledge of of astrology to the outside world must have faced a lot of opposition from a number of people, a select and a close group of people. However, nothing deterred him from following his own mindset. He also had his Jupiter in the 10th house in Scorpio, and Jupiter is the planet of value, which is also the knowledge, and the 11th lord of expressions. He wanted to do something. He was very passionate about his work, and he remained steadfast about it. We were talking about emotions here. Yes, the people whom he loved and the people with whom he had his difference of opinion, so to say, were always given equal importance in his work, because Jupiter here is sitting in his 10th house. To continue on with Aquarius, when we see that they are extremely loyal. Yes, they are very humanitarian in their approach. They think of things on a long-term basis and how it would serve humanity as at large, because these people are not emotional, these people are not into structurizing things, these people are very plain speaking, as opposed to the Leo quality of being flamboyant. But the loyalty quality, as we see, works on the humanitarian ground, hardworking and carrying their ideas across to the T, making sure that the ideas find form and expression, and seeing things, making sure that the ideas have a high value attached to it. It is not something that is very small. Whenever they do something, they make sure that they get good returns out of that value, and they stay put with their ideas till that idea comes to a great place or comes to a great conclusion. We would also see the discoverer of the polio vaccine, who also had a very strong planets in the nakshatra, in the house of Aquarius. Why so? Because Aquarius, you know, is a thinking sign, and it is the sign of the thinkers, the scientists, and the discoverers. And finally, we also see the generosity and the support. Just while we were talking about B.V. Ramanji, or when we were talking about the discoverer of polio vaccine, these people, at least the where as far as polio vaccine is concerned, not a single money went into royalty, because because he very categorically stated that you cannot patent the sun. This is something, the polio vaccine is something that has to be moved into society so that children can live a healthy and a good life. And it is because of him that today, as as a world, we have been able to eradicate the polio disease. So the sign of humanitarianism in the entire zodiac goes to the sign deep thinker, the Aquarius, which is the fixed air, loyal, generous, hardworking, endurance, and to the point that you can be called stubborn, to the point that you can be called egocentric, because you do not allow others to express yourself. Yes, that is the fixed signs that we see around us. Do let us know how the fixed signs for you operate. What is the house that they occupy in your chart, and how which planet place there gives its results in its manner. Till we meet with you again, stay safe.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.